going on, YouTube? Thank you for stopping by my channel today to discuss some data collection and SBMM thoughts, also EOMM thoughts, so engagement, optimization, matchmaking. So obviously SBMM has been around for forever, but with Warzone, it's been completely heightened. You've had third-party apps come out where people can see the level of player that they've been playing recently, and again, talk has skyrocketed. So today I want to go over some thoughts and show you some data collection that we've done, me and some of my buddies, throughout the past couple weeks, and hopefully that gives us a better understanding, as well as it goes through some rumors that we can set straight or say that they were true. Some disclaimers I want to go over is, obviously this is my data and it's biased towards me, so I'm a 2.47 KD. So if you have a 0.8 KD, your lobbies are going to be way different than me if your friends are around that, or if you're a 5.0 juggernaut or higher, you're going to be a lot higher than me. So when you see my data, when you're playing, you're like, oh, I have similar stats to what Savage said. Why are my lobbies different or classified different? It's just because of your stats. Also, all the stats are not 100% correct. So even though all the data that we pulled is from Activision or these third-party apps, they all have their own, I guess, algorithms, you could say. So when we used the third-party app, the Warzone companion app, I went into their Discord and I said, hey, I don't have a 4 point whatever KD, but on companion app it's saying I do. Where do you guys pull your data from? And they said that their own algorithm is from the past couple dozen games. So if you're using the companion app and your stats are off, that's why. If you go to SBMM, they say that they the Warzone, SBMM Warzone.com, they say that the data that they created their platform for the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond lobbies is based off of a set of 100 data from 100,000 players. So data is not going to be 100% correct all the time. You're going to see about 100 to 150 games between me and my friends. So therefore, it's a very small sample size, but we're hoping that this sample size can give us a better understanding of how everything works. All right, with that, let's get into, first I want to get into my router, because this has been part of the talks of the Warzone community. So I have a NetDuma R2 router, which is one of the routers that was talked about as being a way to get bot lobbies. And I just want to talk quickly about two quick features. Right here is the ping heat map, right? So if I pick Call of Duty Warzone, it's now going to ping all the servers. So bam, you get some servers, local and international. And then you're going to see later on in the video, when I turn on my game, it's going to show all the servers. So there's some servers right now that are missing, and that's just because either I couldn't connect to them at this moment, or maybe that they're off. So you have Miami, you have Atlanta, you have Virginia, you have Buffalo, there's one in Wyoming, and there might be more that we'll see when I bring up the map. So also, down here, if it says NA and I didn't connect, you could also do an IP lookup and find out where these are. So there's a lot of talk that, there's Hawaii servers or Alberta servers, and they're not there, or maybe that this isn't picking it up. There you go. There's your international scope of everything. Here you go. Bam. All right. So there's your geo filter, or there's your ping heat map. Now we'll go into geo filter. So this is the biggest thing about this router, or any router with the Duma OS, right? So normally, if I turn on a game just like this, I'll get any server that I can connect to, right? But once I turn on filtering mode, which you're going to see in the stats is statistics for geo on and geo off, Now I say, you know what, Miami's a bot lobby. So I create a quick little box. Bam, I got Miami. Vancouver's a bot lobby. Bam. Right, Chicago. Let's just say Chicago. And then Buffalo, right? So I create these 4 quick little things. Now I go into Call of Duty, and then when I go to search for a map, I won't get, or a match, I won't get anything but games in these servers, right? So let's say Wichita is like a really big server. So let's say Wichita tries to put me in a game in Wichita. One of the blocked icons will come up in Wichita. It will say looking for, you know, other players to join. So it will say like looking for 149 other players. And then within 3 to 5 seconds, it will kick me out to searching for match because it's blocking those servers, right? So then this was the big thing of, you know, people are using this to get bot lobbies, right? And then you'll see in the data what I guess you could say happens from that. But I just wanted to go over that. You know, the people who have the Nighthawks, if they don't have the upgraded firmware for the Duma OS, the Nighthawks have the not polygon mode. So it would be, I'm from North Carolina, so I click North Carolina, and then it makes a circle, right? You can make that circle however big or small, right? And that's what you see if you have I think it's XR500 or XR1000, and I don't know what other ones, but that's what people have came to me with. Right, so since I have the new firmware, this is what I use. So let's get into the data. So over the past couple weeks, you know, I was just writing down random stuff throughout using these different third-party apps between all my matches. And then after a couple weeks, I was like, you know what, let's sit down and actually pull real data. And that's where you start seeing different color codes, which is going to be like low grade games, medium grade, and high grade games. Okay. So let's go to like this was a full 1 week's data that we got, right? So first thing we did was we looked at different lobbies. Mostly you're going to see quads and trios. Duos we did a little bit, but I mainly play trios and quads, so therefore that's what a lot of the tournaments that I was playing in were. So that's what I wanted to test. So you'll see what kind of lobby, then you see the server. So whether I have Geo on or not, it doesn't matter. That software allows me, whenever I click to get into a game, it tells me what server I am. So therefore, that's where we get our server location from. The level is from the third-party app, the Warzone Companion app, and that's going to show you in the top of the page where all your level is coming at the beginning of every game. So when you're in the plane flying, about to jump out, it will say like live stat tracker, and bam. And then we get median and average KD from either COD Tracker or SBMM Warzone. I used SBMM Warzone because that's where I was seeing the different levels, the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. So that gave me kind of like a way for me to start my own platform of yellow, blue, red. But I just wanted to look at that one better than the COD Tracker one. And then so before Activision came out with the privacy to back to default thing, it would show your top 10%. So the top 15 people or top 16, however many people were in your lobby, it would say, you know, probably like a 1.9, 2.1, something like that. And then I wanted to test, I want to see if I had hackers in my lobby, and then based on if I had my geo turned on or off, if I was getting more or less. Here, you're going to see the hosts. So not only did I host with geo on and off, but I had people all over the country host. I had people in Canada host, and I even had, we did VPNs, and then I actually, we had a VPN to Europe too. So we tested a whole bunch of different things. Finally, we did NAT type, and then this was something that I didn't really think about until later on in the testing. But seeing if games were easier based on my NAT type. And then we'll see that in a second. So at the end of every day, I would take averages, right? So every type of lobby type, if the geo was on or off, and then what the NAT type was, and then I would find the average, as well as the server. And then at the end of the week, this is what we came up with. So based on the data that we got at the end of the week, my 3 easiest lobbies were the Netherlands, France, and Buffalo. And what I said earlier about data being biased, so these 3 areas were ones that I only pinged one time. So it's really not a good grasp on those servers. But from the one time I played them, they were really easy. So since they were just part of the data, I put them in there. I think Miami would be, based on 1 week of data that we got, Miami was my easiest lobby. Again, I think Vancouver I only had a couple times, but you could use that one as well. The one I got the most was probably Chicago and Atlanta, and you could see that Chicago was medium to maybe closer to the high end of the medium side, and Atlanta was just tough. So those would be ones that you probably either want to stay away from, either one of those. And then after a week, these were my 3 averages. So like I said about SBMM Warzone, they created their own platform of the bronze to diamond. Well, I wanted to create one that was a little bit smaller based on my smaller sample size of about 150 games in the 2 weeks. Of our first week, these were our averages. So a level 75, a 101, and then a 1.11. So I didn't want to make the groups too big or too small, especially the middle group, because the middle group is going to be your most. Like the blue should have a heavy amount of games. So I did plus or minus 10 for each group. So the blue is going to be 65 to 85. For weekly level, weekly median is going to be 0.91 through 1.11, and then my weekly average KD is going to be 1.01 to 1.21. Anything below any of those 3 is going to be yellow. Anything above is going to be red. So as you can see, after that, we already talked about servers, so let's go into geo. Talk about geo on and off, right? So when testing when I turn my geo on, so I'm only hitting specific servers. Statistically, it wasn't that different. I guess they're a lot closer to the median than geo off is. But if we were talking about the router being the reason I'm getting bot lobbies, I would probably say that there's definitely an easier chance and an advantage to using them, but it is not super significant. I think Drifter put in one of his videos that he had tested a way that was 80% that he can get bot lobbies. I've had this for almost a year, and I don't know of any way. I'm not saying he's wrong at all, but I haven't found that. So with the data I collected, I didn't get that easy. Maybe I have to test more servers or do more testing, but this seems not super close, but it's somewhat close. So there is an advantage, right? There is an advantage. You could tell that there's an advantage, but the advantage isn't massive. If we go down to quads, trios, duos seem to be the easiest, but again, that was the smallest sample size that we did. So if we played more, it could be higher, could be lower. Quads, I think, was a good test because that was probably the most that we did, and that was closest to like about the average. And those scores aren't too crazy. Trios, a little higher. It's on the higher side. But trios, I think, is just a sweat fest. I think that's the sweatiest playlist that there is. This was like my biggest thing was you always hear about, West Coast lobbies are easier than East Coast lobbies and, West Coast versus East Coast. But through my games, it was pretty neck and neck for all the regions. And then, you had Europe. Always the bots over in Europe. But yeah, this is extremely close. There's not even a 10th difference between the East and the West, and then there's less than 0.2 for Midwest. So those were pretty close. And then my theory of in that type being a reason for you to get easier lobbies actually seems to, through the data, seems to be correct. There was, I think, 3 days where we tested with somebody who had moderate or strict, and 2 of the 3 days we got absolute, completely easier lobbies. There was 1 day where we just didn't. We just got rolled all day. But besides that, I think it was like a week and a half ago when there was the issue. A couple guys got kicked out of a tournament. So a tournament organizer asked me to, review one of the guy's VODs. And in the VOD, I noticed that, he was from Canada. And then not only was he from Canada, but he had a moderate NAT type. So he was in a lesser populated area and then had the moderate NAT type, which even makes his player group smaller. So they were easy. My theory is that's how you're allowed to get easier lobbies. I don't think every lobby is easier, absolutely not. But through the data we collected, the games that we had that were moderate or strict were definitely easier than open. So I think that is something that you could look for. Obviously, which day that you're playing is going to be huge, right? If I play Monday morning versus playing Saturday afternoon, it's going to be way different. Who's hosting, I think, is big. Even though the matchmaking does more of your skill over your location, I do think location matters. Just because of where you pull, I think. Where's Geo off? So with Geo off, I was still pulling Chicago and Wichita, which is the Midwest, which were, all these games are hard, but you had a 99, 88, and 95, and then I was pulling to Atlanta and Virginia, which were all 90s. So that was one group of Geo off. This was a Arkansas host, right? So a little less populated area. And where was it pinging to? Pinged to Seattle, right? So to me, that's a little funky why I would do that. But look at the lobby, right? That was a moderate NAT or strict NAT type shooting me across the country, and bam, we get a bot lobby. Let me see if I can find another one. Here you go. Here's another one where this is a Louisiana host. It's open, shoots us to the West Coast again, but now it's a high level. It's an 88, right? Versus the strict that was a low level. So I do believe that there is something in there. There's 1 day right here. This moderate, we just got absolutely stroked. That was tough. But I do believe that is definitely a way that is part of like the algorithm or whatnot. So going into week 2, I was able to create my own platform. So we started putting this in. I then wanted to pull the average, median, max, min, and then I wanted to pull if I did a max minus a min and then divide that by 3 and see how that correlated to my brackets, just to see. One thing that you'll see in week 2 is we tested a lot of international versus continental US, right? So there's another one where I think I noticed it actually this game or this game. What happens is when you put the international in, it will go, since I'm on the East Coast, it will go like 30, 40, 50, and then it'll shoot up to about 150, right? And once it shoots up to 150, it will, if it doesn't find a game in your section, it will drop back down to 40, and then it picks like one of these, right? A 40. So I believe that if you put one of these in here, these international ones, Poland, Egypt, France, Germany, or Brazil, that it will ping out there and then be like, oh, we don't like that, and then bring you right back, and then all of a sudden you get a easier lobby. But I think that and the NAT type were huge. Were 2 things I didn't think about, but things that came up, and that's about it. We I'm still pulling data from this week, so next week I should have an update. I'll probably post it on social media just to give you guys an update. I don't know if I'll do another video, but I want to thank all those people who created other videos. You had J God, you had Drifter, Exclusive Ace, you had Kerneel or Sweaty Poppy, whatever you know him as. And then everybody who helped me out. I talked to a whole bunch of people and tested with a whole bunch of people. All those people who hosted in other countries, other areas. I really appreciate them. And then, this is one last thing, right here. So we have this issue with people believing that they're losing to people with net Dumas or Duma OS, right? So this was something that came up. We were playing, and ReadBoy24, I don't know if you guys know him. He plays for Doom. He's an absolute crackhead. It's awesome. He said, why don't you do a multiplier? So we started looking at our lobbies and then testing lobbies, right? So actually, I do believe in this. This is a way to curtail it, or if you believe that those guys are getting easy lobbies, I think this is how you fix it. And you could see, I was actually in a tournament last week, and they used this, and a team had 3 90-kill games, but they were all in like really easy lobbies, and they wound up coming in like 4th or 5th. So I think it's perfect. Because as you can see, right, if my team gets 74 kills in a 1.18 lobby, right, versus somebody who gets 98 kills in a 0.91 lobby, we're still around the same points, right? So now it is actually encouraging for you to go out and get in these harder lobbies, or stay in these harder lobbies and try and play more as a team and just dominate, right? So I do think that is a way to stop it. Activision really kind of screwed this up, because if you go back to, I think, week 2, where they now implemented this whole new rule of the percentages available, a lot of these games, like, it makes it hard to really use data, right? The 79% of the lobbies in there, it's obviously going to be a bot lobby. There's just not enough people to boost that lobby up over, such a small percentage or average, right? If you add 2 people with a 3.0 there, it's just going to skyrocket, right? And then you add a whole bunch of ones, that's going to be a 0.9 at least. So, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, that gets fixed. But again, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to make it as short as possible and hopefully educate everybody, because I don't like arguing with people on social media for this. But again, thank you guys for coming by. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.